Hi, my name is Poeartistry. I am excited to welcome you to James Poeartistry Productions. You are tuning into an incredible experience known as Poeartistry Gold, where we delve into the art of commentary, storytelling and poetry. We aim to bring you inspiring and thought-provoking content.
This is a Poeartistry Gold moment by the author James Lynch. Hello, perceptive readers. This is James Lynch. I want this to fall under the buymeacoffee.com/James Poeartistry as a consultant moment. And this is also a Poeartistry Gold moment. I may make this actually 162 or what have you. And what I want to share with you is a dilemma persons have faced over the years when they knew in their heart what they wanted to do was very right. It was certainly right. They understood it. They understood their heart on that level that they weren't fooling themselves. And then when they tried to do what was right, they met a lot of opposition. And even opposition from sources that said that they wanted what was best for them, and that they were doing what was right for them in this way and that way. And so what ended up happening is maybe you faced this dilemma where you took the person's advice. You see, you actually took their advice. And when it came time for everything to work out in this way or that way, the whole heavy load or burden fell on you. Not once, but continually fell on you. And yet the different persons who either gave you advice or even placed opposition before you, the burden was not hitting them, maybe a little bit, or just really not at all. And so you observed that. And yet the only thing that they really had over you was maybe a position, a title, even a position of trust. And so this is what I'm sharing with you in a spiritual, ethical way on this level. Remember, our authority, our privileges and things of that nature are not all so solidified or so, we're not almighty. That's what I want to put it. I want to put it that way. We're not almighty in the way that any abilities we have, any responsibilities we have or what have you, that they do not override what God's word says on the matter. See, that even applies to parents. You see, parents don't even have the right from God to abuse their children. You see from the 10 Commandments, yes, God says how we're supposed to honor our father and mother. We're not supposed to call down evil upon them or anything of that nature. And yet, as you know, there are examples in the Bible where the father wasn't doing what he was supposed to be doing. You had nations where, certainly the parents weren't doing what they were supposed to be doing. So what did God do? He punished them, even in some cases severely. Well, let me talk about another responsibility. See, what we're dealing with today is a access to knowledge, of understanding that some people have even said within the past 10 years or past decade that I didn't know this. I wasn't told this. I was just doing what I was told to do, even if it was really wrong that that from what you're telling me now is. But yet, they are the ones who have the authority. Well, I'm going to share something else with you, though, that since some of you were not informed on this situation, see, there are basic spiritual principles. And I still won't go too much into details with it, but make no mistake about it. Just because a person sometimes leaves out of a responsibility that God had even given them or what have you, it doesn't mean that once they stand firm on something in this matter or that matter, that you better listen to them. Oh, you better believe it. Even on the level of the ones who may, be in that position at that time. There's a reason for that, because there's a righteous reason behind it on why you do it. We could go into the scriptures about gray-headedness, how God's supposed to respect that. And yet, I told you, there are responsibilities, even in God's house, where even if a person no longer does those type of things or what have you, when that person ends up saying, this is what's happening. This is what's happening to him. This is what's happening to her. But in this case, especially, this is what has happened to me. And no way in spiritual principle of what I've been telling you would a person such as myself, like I'm saying on a consulting moment, what have you, should have ever been dismissed and ignored without some type of formal, type of correspondence in this way or that way. Now, with that being said, that still doesn't mean now all of a sudden, just to be dragging up past things that just don't even matter anymore. And that's right, I'm stating that for the record, that just doesn't even matter anymore. That then you use those tactics just to try to waste my time and to use it in MK Ultra methods. See, I've talked about that. These are things that I've warned certain persons about. I've even warned persons about some of the things that I'm telling you about now, which if you go to my minds.com, James Poeartistry, you'll see that I showed the hearings on MK Ultra. What was really happening. See, those facts, that hearing and everything that if you look at all those videos, see, these are some of the same information I share, excuse me, I shared with persons over the years, maybe, in coffee or what have you, if I felt that they could handle it. Some persons thought they could, said they could handle it, but come to find out they couldn't. And so the whole point is, it's not an everyday conversation, but I'm bringing it up for a reason. This goes to show that when people have been on this level or understand stuff on this level, you see, then it is foolishness to still dismiss them and then to try to make it seem like they're crazy. Now, here's another thing about spiritual judgments. See, there are some people who will explain away every type of miracle there is, even all the way down to the Red Sea. Where Moses was used by God to pour back all the waters and the people could walk through on dry land, you see, as they were escaping from Pharaoh. Okay? So you got people who will even try to scientifically and logically explain away what that miracle, how that was done, or if it wasn't done at all. But it still doesn't change the fact that, you got persons, many, especially like myself, where I told you, no, that is the case. That really did happen. That really was a miracle from God. But yet, here's the dilemma. See, I'm just a consultant here. Yet, there's a difficulty when you can have somebody who got deep pockets, as I like to say, and so then their word is given more credence on this matter just because they got the deep pockets, no matter what my spiritual understanding and credentials on the matter happen to be. And you can ask yourself, is that right? Yeah, you see, that's you. You can think about that. The other thing that I want to share with you is with spiritual judgments. Since you do have these type of people who would want to explain away miracles, the principles of justice and mercy of God, where again they don't respect them on the level that I've shared these things with you from God's word, the Holy Bible. See, facts of the matter, how you handle these things in this way, how you treat persons, whether they did something wrong or not. See, since they don't want to respect that, okay, you got to ask again, is that right? Same thing with the different processes. I told you before with from the I know you said, boy, he keep using that Tuskegee medical experiment, because I told you a sound mind, spiritual, ethical Christian would not be able to tolerate finding out that these men and their families were actually even lied to, even injected in some cases with this or that, had the cure, but just wanted to see the results of all their suffering to death. Now, isn't that amazing? Isn't that interesting? But see, these are the type of things Jesus would have said, no, you bet not do that, especially with the position that you're in. Can you see my reasoning on this? You bet not do that. You bet not allow it. You found out, you nip it in the bud. Okay? So, with that being said, the last thing that I'm going to point out is there are some scriptures that when you are in those roles, yes, and these are the ones they know, that can show just how much authority and power they have over your soul, so to speak. And so they can make any old type of judgment they want to, or have, some persons about, you're not supposed to, but I'm just saying, and then say, just because they made it, then they think God is going to go along with that. Especially, you still, even if their judgment is skewed by hatred, bigotry, other type of factors or what have you, because of, and all those factors end up taking away from really their view or ability to apply God's word in this matter to help a person or resolve an issue. But see, I even, heard one person, well, more than one person, but I'm thinking about one in particular, that he really did have this view though, where, even if we make a bad decision or what have you, then it normally works itself out within, a few months, if not within a very few amount of years. Okay. And I could always really appreciate the spirit of that person's thinking. Actually, like I said, I actually respected the person. But see, even though I respected that person, I even liked that person, did that still, in this one case, was that add to my spiritual toolbox of an application or what have you? Did I add that way of doing it as far as how I was going to implement, certain decisions, especially over people's lives? Where you probably already know that for yourself if you just observed how I've dealt with things over the years. So, do I think that God also appreciate the way I handle those matters? Yes. I make the joke that if I'm losing sleep at night, it's certainly not over a guilty conscience because of the way that I'm continuing to try to deal with people every single day to the best of my ability in that way. And see, this is the other thing that I still recognize in closing. There are scriptures certain persons can point out about superior authorities, superior spiritual authorities, and things of that nature. Yet, I say this is what all of them have to remember. The whole series of Psalms 80 And the Holy Bible is there for a reason, to go to show that when God is end up saying that, yes, I've even given you God-like authority like mine. But if you misuse it, I'm going to bring it right back on your head. So stop misusing it. Stop not giving justice to the poor. Stop not giving justice to the widow and the orphan. Stop making now these are my words, stop making the economy hard on everybody. And all I'm going to say is, go to my post about do gas prices have to be that high? Do gas prices really have to be this high? See, when you're in these type of positions, I'm telling you, there are businessmen that, even though they may not be able to control anything beyond their business, when it comes towards their gas prices and or their products or what have you, they still strive not to allow the greed and the negligence that's in the economy that causes the economy to make a lot of stuff just shoot up high. You see, in this situation or that situation, they try not to let that affect them when they're still dealing with people on an everyday level. Granted, there's only so much you can do, but see, that's how you can see again how things can start from the top, at least with prices. You see, start from the top, at least with prices. And it can be done. I know it can be done. The point is there willingness to be done? Look at the mindsets that I've talked about today. Some mindsets, it doesn't matter because they're thinking that human beings are supposed to just come on this earth and be their slaves, their toys, or whatever you want to call it, or what have you. And that's not agreeable to God, especially when someone is so bogged down by somebody else's incorrect comprehension of spiritual matters, of humans, how we're supposed to view them and treat them, that it literally affects them being able to get to know God in the first place, because they're so bogged down. They're so mistreated physically and invisibly. You see, at times where, God understands. And it's in this type of situation, that's why I continue to tell you, you can be sure that God ends up calling you, or God ends up doing things for you even before you make it to that water, so to speak. So you just keep praying, you keep leaving it in God's hands and praying for the help that you know you need, you see. And whether he parts the Red Sea for you or not, it still doesn't change that God is the reasonable one. He is the merciful one. And it's just sometimes humans, with their incorrect view or their backgrounds or what have you, they just want to put their own philosophies and the way you treat people above over God. Take care of yourself, perceptive readers. And like I said, this will be a in my consultant moment on the buymeacoffee.com/James Poeartistry in the podcast form. And then I'll probably, like I said, put it with a Poeartistry Gold number 162 or what have you. Take care of yourself.